Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Balancing Act, the podcast devoted to helping families navigate memory loss and dementia. I'm Kelly Burtonshaw. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about a moment that many families recognize immediately. The moment you suggest bringing in outside help for your loved one, and the answer comes back sharp, emotional, and final. I don't need help, and I don't want strangers in my house. And that response can feel confusing, even hurtful, because from where you're standing, wanting to help feels like you care. It feels like love. So when that door is slammed shut, it is easy to assume that the resistance is stubbornness or maybe a flat-out denial of reality. But most of the time, that refusal isn't really about the help at all. It's about what accepting the help represents. I want to start by looking at this situation through what your loved one is experiencing. For many people living with dementia, the world has already become less predictable. There may be a growing awareness that control is slipping away. So when the idea of outside help coming in enters the conversation, it doesn't land as support. It lands as a confirmation that something essential is being lost. And home is the last place where life still feels recognizable. It's where their routines make sense. It's where no one is watching, and their decisions don't have to be explained to anyone. And letting someone else cross that threshold can feel less like help and more like a surveillance. That's why refusals often sound absolute. They aren't measured or negotiable. They're protective, a way of holding on to something that already feels fragile. Here's another consideration. What families don't always see is how much effort it takes to maintain that sense of control. Many people who refuse help are working incredibly hard just to appear fine. They're compensating, they're adapting, often without realizing how much energy that costs. Saying no to help becomes part of that effort, because if help comes in, the cover-up collapses. I once worked with a woman who had just been diagnosed with early dementia. She lived alone, and she insisted she was managing just fine. But her daughter called me completely frustrated because everything was not just fine. But she was convinced that her mother was simply being difficult by refusing any help, letting anyone come into the home. But when I spent time with her mother, it became clear that her resistance wasn't defiance. It was fear. She knew things were changing, even if she couldn't explain how. And accepting help felt like making those changes visible for everyone to see. And here's another layer to this that's easy to miss, especially when you're exhausted and worried. Sometimes refusals come from a belief that needing help means becoming a burden. And for parents especially, this can really cut deep. The roles they held for decades are shifting. They're the ones used to being the helpers, the providers, the ones who made everything easier for everyone else. Accepting care reverses that identity, and it can feel like asking their family to now carry a weight they never intended to place there. Right now, I want to take a small pause together. These conversations can bring up a lot, I know. And if what you're hearing feels helpful, I hope you'll take a second to hit that follow button. It's a simple act that helps me keep bringing you the new stories, insights, and encouragement to help lighten your load, even if it's just a little bit. And if the platform you're listening on allows reviews and ratings, please share your experience. This moves us up on the podcast lists, and that is how we can reach more families and provide the support they need. Finally, there is another way you can show your support, and that's through a donation. just look for the Buy Me a Coffee link in today's show notes. This helps us keep the mic on and the episodes coming. Thank you so much for listening and for being a part of this community. Now, let's get back to it. I can tell you from experience that where families often get stuck is perception. On your side, you're trying to reduce risk, manage safety, and plan for the future. On your loved one's side, they're trying to preserve their dignity, their purpose, and a sense of self. So you're both looking at this situation through completely different windows. And this is why pushing harder will often backfire. The more families emphasize necessity, the more the refusal tightens, the wall gets higher. Not because your loved one doesn't understand the need. They may understand it all too well. And sometimes there's another factor at play. Dementia causes changes in the brain that affect insight. Your loved one may genuinely be unable to see the problems you're pointing out, no matter how carefully or repeatedly you explain them. So what helps isn't reasoning or logic. It's listening differently. When you stop trying to convince and start trying to understand, the tone shifts. Asking what worries them the most about having help often leads somewhere very unexpected. The answer is rarely about the caregivers themselves. It's about privacy, pride, or the fear of being seen only for what they can no longer do. And once their fear is acknowledged, really acknowledged, the conversation has room to move. Not quickly, not dramatically, but honestly. What often helps at this point is letting go of the idea that help has to arrive all at once. Sometimes families imagine that accepting care means a full handoff, a stranger suddenly embedded in their loved one's daily life, their routines rewritten overnight. And when that's the picture in someone's mind, of course the answer is going to be no. But change doesn't have to be abrupt to be meaningful. For many people, trust grows through repetition and predictability. When help is introduced gradually, it stops feeling like an invasion and starts to feel like a familiar presence, someone who fits into the rhythm of the home rather than disrupting it. And whenever possible, these transitions are much easier when the helper is already known, another family member, a friend, even a neighbor stopping by regularly. But when that isn't possible, outside help can still become familiar over time. I've seen families succeed when they start with something almost incidental, someone who comes by once a week, not to quote-unquote help, but to support what's already happening, running errands, doing the laundry, or just taking a short walk at the same time each day. The task matters far less than the consistency. One son I worked with described the caregiver at first as someone who just moved to the area and she wanted to stop by and say hello. Over time, his mom accepted the caregiver because she became the one who knows where things go. There was no big dramatic turning point, just a gradual lowering of the wall. This approach preserves choice. It allows your loved one to remain involved in the process, to feel the difference between being supported and being replaced. It eases anxiety for families as well. It gives everyone time to adjust to the presence of another person, to changing roles, and to the realization that support doesn't have to mean loss. It can mean continuity. The wall doesn't come down because it's forced to. It comes down because it's no longer needed. If you're standing on the outside of that wall right now, trying to figure out how to move forward, I want you to hear this clearly. The refusal you're facing is not a failure. It's communication. And when it's met with patience instead of pressure, it can soften. And I know this is hard work. It asks you to slow down when everything in you wants to act quickly. But understanding the meaning behind the no is often what allows the next yes to happen on terms that preserve dignity, safety, and connection. And please remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are so many others who are experiencing the same situation or who have been through it before. Getting involved with a support group, whether online or in person, can make a world of difference. Some find it beneficial to talk to their spiritual leader or a therapist. All of these things can help you keep your sanity and help you adjust expectations, not only of your loved one, but of yourself. Finally, in today's show notes, I've included resources to help you think through ways to build support into your loved one's life at a pace you can both manage. But if you find that you still need a "please help me now with this" button, message me on Facebook. That's why I'm here. The link is in the show notes. And always give yourself this grace. No one is perfect at this. No one. You're doing the best you can. You're doing it from a place of love. And that is enough. I'm Kelly Burdenshaw, and it was my pleasure spending time with you today. Please keep in touch.
Hi, I'm Peggy Wright, editor and producer of this podcast. We know that juggling your loved one's care while trying to manage your own life can truly become a balancing act. We want to help you as you navigate this journey by offering our support. You can reach out to us anytime by going to our Facebook page to ask questions, leave comments for Kelly, or talk with her one-on-one by setting up a chat. The link is in the show notes. And you can find us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to rate and review so we can continue to provide relevant content. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for listening today.